Welcome to Grumpily Ever After, our uncensored podcast where swoon-worthy meets eye-rolling as I, an avid reader and adventure romance author, chat with my grumpy husband who has inspired all of my book boyfriends written to date. Join us as we chat about books he'll never read, words he thinks are stupid, and all his grumbles in between. If nothing else, we hope to make you smile and brighten your day. At least a little. So, settle in and let's see where today's chapter takes us. Welcome to this episode of Grumpily Ever After. I am your co-host, Lindsey Pogue.
Main host, D-Money.
D-Money! Ooh, yeah. All right, well, welcome to this episode, everybody. We are both home today. Well, I'm always home, but Dennis is off today doing chores, and he went with me to doctor's appointments. Blue is even in here, so we'll see how this goes. She's staring at the microphone and trying to chew on my cords for my earbuds. So
it's a party.
It's a party today. And while I'm still recovering from my allergic reaction issues, I am feeling better. So that's good. And I would like to... Oh, there goes Blue. I would like to point out that I am drinking... we're probably going to have video this time. So I am drinking one of Dennis's kombuchas that he made for my gut health.
People are going to look at that and be like, what is that, piss water?
Yeah, no. It actually looks like, if I was to look at this kombucha and guess what the flavor was, based on the color, I'd say like apricot or something. But it is actually strawberry, and it is freaking delicious. He's been loading me up with these. We're trying to get my gut health better, so...
I think even the taste is apricot-y-ish to me.
Yeah. I honestly don't taste a lot of strawberry.
Yeah.
Which is what it's supposed to be. We used to, Dennis used to make kombucha a lot, and we would make it, we would flavor it with fresh fruit and stuff. A lot of them would have the blackberries in there, like lemon and blackberry from our garden and stuff like that. So anyways, absolutely delicious. I only have one left, huh?
Yeah, we only have one left. I've been thinking about maybe getting back into the swing of things because I mean it's only beneficial for both of us, and we used to do it together, and we can flavor them and stuff. Yeah. We just don't have any blackberries, so we'll have to get creative. Yeah,
it's all right. We will soon enough. Once we replant that, we had a giant thornless blackberry bush that had these massive blackberries every year, like way more than we could eat. So we've done a lot of different things like jamming, giving them to friends, that sort of thing. And that's why we started using them for his kombucha flavors. But we had to tear it out because we had to get a new fence. But now we have little baby ones that we can replant. So it'll be fine. It grows like a weed. So yeah, we'll be good.
It's like a blackberry vine. Those things grow like crazy. You mainly see the thorn ones, but
yeah, no, this one is, I'm sure it was like, what do they call it? Cultivated.
Yeah, that's called a triple crown blackberry bush.
Yeah.
So it's legit.
It's yummy. Anyways, so that's what I'm drinking today. So thank you, Dennis, for this delightfully chilled, carbonated, and fruity, delicious probiotic drink I'm having.
You're welcome.
Sorry, as I slurp in everyone's ear. Okay, so how are you doing today? It's your day off. You went with me for another doctor's appointment. I'm sure that was riveting. Now you're doing chores. How was your Friday going, dear?
Not too bad. It's warming up. I don't know. Feeling kind of sweaty. I don't know if it's just me from moving dirt around or if it's actually hot. So.
No, I think that's why I'm starting to itch again. I think it's because I'm getting warm. Yeah, I mean, not that, man, I share a lot of really fun things with people on this podcast. So I'm itchy. I will also say that I'm excited because of the flowers I got from the backyard. Aren't they pretty? I know these are obviously irises. I don't know, because they're smaller, I don't know what kind of irises, but they're absolutely beautiful. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, you walked into the house with those, and I'm like, where the heck did you find those? And I still don't know. Where are they growing in the backyard?
They're in one of the pots by the koi pond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only 3 we have. So I picked, now there will be no flowers back there because all the wild freesias are gone, and which makes me sad. And yeah, so now it's more, what is it now? It's between weeds and sawdust. That's what we have back there now. So,
Yeah. And a pile of dirt.
yeah. So anyways, today I have an idea. I had this idea for a while, but I haven't done it because I feel like it's going to blow up in my face, but we're going to try it anyway. So I thought it would be fun now that we're at a point where you kind of have an idea of what tropes are, and we've talked about different types of books. What I was thinking we could do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to read, I wouldn't say that they're tropes because not all of them are tropes. They're more like bullet points of things in some of my books, but I'm not going to tell you which books they are because I want you to rate 1 to 5. I want you to rate each one 1 to 5, not knowing what the title is, if you would read it or not. Like as a non-reader, granted, like I understand that you don't read books. So that's why I think this is gonna be kind of fun. So based on a scale of 1 to 5, 1, you don't want to read it, and 5, you would. I'm going to go through and give you these bullets, not telling you what the book is or what it's about, just only these bullets of each book, and then you can rate it. Okay. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to essentially do the same thing, but I'm going to read the blurb, and then you can rate it based on the blurb. And then I'm going to do it again and and yes, no, I am not doing all my books. I only picked 6. And then we'll go and I'll read a review of each one. And then you can pick. Again, you're not going to know. I don't think you're going to know. Some listeners and readers might know, but you're not going to know which books they are. So then you can pick which ones, based on the review, you would read based on that review. Does that make sense? Then the reason why why I want to do this is because I want to see at the end which book, if there's one in particular that you gave the most highest ratings to. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what were you going to ask? Sorry.
Am I keeping tally or anything?
No. You just have to listen.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. Right up your alley. All right. So I say we'll start first with...
How many is it? You said 6?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to start with... We'll just go with the bullets first. All right. So I'll say it slowly so that you can process. And then when I'm finished, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5. And please do not worry about hurting my feelings, because I'm not taking any of this personally. So if you have 0 interest in ever, like, if you putting your place in a reader's perspective, if you have 0 interest in the book, just say 1, right? Okay. 0 feelings will be hurt in this process. All right. So I'll start with this one. Mortal enemies to lovers, forced proximity, survival situations, forbidden love, emotional scars, different worlds. If you have questions, you can ask.
You know where my mind goes?
No, I actually have no idea.
What's that Jupiter movie with...
Oh,
what's his
God.
face?
Yeah, no, it's not Jupiter. Is it Jupiter Rising? No. Different worlds is... It's like they're in 2 completely... Like, their lives are completely different. And I say different worlds because, I mean... where they live is completely different as well. It's not planet-wise, but like you can think civilizations are different.
Gotcha. 3.
Wow, as you roll your eyes saying that,
I'm like somewhere. It was between 2 or 3. I'm somewhere in the middle. There's some things that are intriguing, but I don't know.
Do you want me to do? I'll do 2.5.
Okay.
Okay. How about gritty Scandinavian cityscapes, infamous sea captain, fated mates, scrappy knife-wielding heroine, based in Norse mythology, pirate ships and a ragtag crew, island survival, enemies to lovers, he falls first.
2.5.
Okay. All right. How about Yellowstone vibes, animal companions?
Great.
I know your favorite show in the world. Animal companions, forced proximity, one bed, crumbling earth, ethnic diversity, mental health, LGBTQ themes?
2.
Okay. Survival situations, friends to lovers, second chance, forced proximity, superhuman abilities, genetic engineering, found family.
Probably 4 or 5. 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Beauty and the Beast, Jane Eyre, gritty dystopian society, slow burn romance, mysterious landowner, headstrong heroine, atmospheric setting, crumbling castles, gothic.
2.
Boss's daughter, enemies to lovers, snowed in, single father, grumpy hero, sassy bombshell, small town, blue collar, holiday.
3. 3.5.
Okay. All right. This is interesting.
Were
Okay.
you anticipating the 0.5s, the halves?
I mean, readers do that when they review stuff. So you can even do, Dennis, if you want to
No.
get crazy, you can even
No.
do 2.75 or
No.
1.75.
I know how you are with math. I won't do that to you.
I'm not going to add them up. Don't worry. Okay.
I thought you are.
Well, I'm going to look at them and guesstimate. Okay. So now I'm going to read blurbs. I wanted to go through these and kind of taper them down a little bit, but I didn't have time. So it is what it is. All right. The Reaper's name is whispered throughout Norseland. The infamous sea captain who visits the frozen kingdom with each rising tide to collect a shipful of unfortunates.
You're starting with the second one.
I'm mixing them up. You don't get a choice.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to confuse you on purpose.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, let me start again. The Reaper's name is whispered throughout Norseland. The infamous sea captain who visits the frozen kingdom with each rising tide to collect a shipful of unfortunates. No one knows where he's from or where he takes them, only that he leaves wreck and ruin in his wake. After a terrible tragedy, Bryn wakes on the Reaper's ship. Bloody, broken, and with nothing left to lose, she vows she'll avenge her family before they reach the Reaper's homeland. But the gods of old play wicked games, and when the Reaper and Bren are stranded together, destiny weaves an epic, unforgettable love story of pain, passion, and jaw-dropping discoveries. Prepare to feel the salt on your skin and the wind in your hair and this heart-pounding, breathtaking, Norse-inspired adventure and fantastical romance.
Fantastical?
Yeah.
Was that a word?
Yeah, it's a word.
Ah. Okay. 2.
Okay. Luke has vowed to avenge his father and protect Sagebrush from the drifters in the Deadlands. Kaya lives in the mountains, safe from the murderous Soshus who roam the desert below. But when her cousin goes missing, she is determined to find him, no matter the danger. In a world ravaged by sand and storms, Luke and Kaya's lives collide in a whirlwind of treachery, passion, and fear. Can enemies sworn to vengeance set aside their hatred, or are they doomed to perish like the world around them? Title, blank, is a survival adventure and love story set in the devastated and forgotten lands of the American Wild West.
2.5.
Okay. Haunting shadows are nothing new to Elle St. James. She's been running from them all her life, but since the outbreak spread from the lower 48, new monsters lurk in the darkness. After Elle wakes from the fever, capable of horrific deeds, she fears she's one of them. When she stumbles upon 4 orphans, Elle's forced to discover what happens when her greatest fear becomes her darkest secret and her only hope of surviving. After the world goes mad and takes his family with it, Jackson tosses aside his badge and decides a bottle of bourbon and the depths of despair are preferable to any semblance of living. All of that changes, however, when a group of young survivors are in dire need of his help and Jackson sacrifices his blissful oblivion in order to keep them safe. As they trek further away from the collapsing cities, Jackson must rely on his knowledge of the backcountry and the traditions of his people or succumb to the dangers of the Alaskan wilderness. Brought together under the worst possible circumstances, Elle and Jackson must face the inexplicable realities of the new world. Their past lives are over, and the Arctic isn't all that is savage anymore.
4.5. Jackson!
The collector is coming to claim what he's owed. Centuries ago, the skies turned black, and for 300 years, Londoners survived in the dank underground tunnels of the city, until one day a stranger from a faraway land offered to save them, though it wasn't without cost, and he has come to collect. When Celine is taken to Master Blackburn's infamous estate, she fears she and the orphans she's sworn to protect will meet a gruesome end, like so many others before them. But the beastly landowner is not all there is to fear, and Celine soon learns nothing in Briarwood is as it seems.
2.
Okay. As volcanoes erupt, wildfires spread, and sinkholes swallow entire cities, Nox and Ava must put a lifetime of grudges aside to survive the shifting landscape. After an asteroid knocks the moon off its axis, scientists warn of Earth's eventual destruction. Governments, moon maniacs, and doomsday preppers brace for the worst, but as the years tick by, life continues mostly unchanged, and it becomes easy to fall into a false sense of security. Ava is no stranger to lost heartache and the struggle to survive. Branded a social pariah in her small town for reasons beyond her control, she's grown used to people's stares and mutterings over the years. Working 2 jobs while taking care of a sickly woman she owes her life to, it's all Ava can do to keep her head above water, let alone prep for the end. Knox Bennett is country boy royalty and infamous for holding a grudge. His mother is dead, his father has gone off the rails, his brother has abandoned him, and Ava's to blame for all of it. While he might have been fed with a silver spoon, all of the money in the world can't prepare him or save his family's ranch for what comes next. As fire engulfs the small town of Sonora, Texas, and nearby cities crumble, Ava and Knox are thrust together in the ensuing chaos. All the odds stacked against them, they must rely on each other to reach safety alive.
3.
Excuse me while I take a sip. Okay. Mac is smart, sexy, and can curse like a sailor. But behind her megawatt smile and perfectly pink lips are scars no one sees. The last man she would ever confide in is the tattooed and always glaring Colton, her father's newest mechanic. But when a snowstorm sets in and Mac's world starts to crumble, she's drawn to the broody, off-limits man she can barely stand the sight of, mostly. Colton knew Mac was trouble the first time he met her, half naked and cursing at him. He came to Sonora Falls. That is not what it's called. He came to Saratoga Falls for a fresh start, and the last thing he needs is complications with his boss's daughter. But as life throws him one curveball after another, Colton can't escape the high-heeled hothead he finds infuriatingly irresistible despite himself. And with each late-night run-in and unguarded moment, Mac and Colton's disdain for one another begins to waver. Wintertime has never been so scorching, and the small-town, single-father love story that will take you on an emotional ride you won't soon forget.
3.5.
All right, so now we're going into the reviews. These are really short. All right. So again,
I gotta score these?
Yep. Would you read the book based on the review?
Gotcha.
Like, how much do you want to read it? They're really short. I didn't pick long ones on purpose because I didn't want them to give a lot away. This book was an absolutely bonkers ride. I couldn't put it down.
And these are mixed up again?
Yep.
Bonkers. That is going to be pretty neutral. 3.
Okay. The gut-wrenching emotion was masterful.
2.
Holy disasters. This is fabulous. Believable atmosphere of desperation and doom, all while balancing it precariously on a ledge of hope.
3.
Gripping, gutting, and beautifully gothic.
2.5.
This one's gonna give it away. Bryn the Captain Slayer is a wonderfully deep character. She will delight you with her sassy mouth and feisty spirit.
Sassy mouth. 2.5.
Okay. And last but not least, I can't begin to express how much I loved it. It was one of those can't go to bed just yet, I need to read one more chapter books that resulted in a lot of lost sleep.
4.
Okay. So thank you for indulging me. My guess going into this, so I don't know how you want me to break this down and review it with you. Do you want me to tell you, like, start with what you rated the highest? Do you want to start with questions you have or comments that you have?
I want to start with you telling me what your thoughts were that I would select before revealing. And let me try and think of any comments or questions I might have. By the numbers, can you already tell which one rated the highest?
Yeah.
And then these are all your books?
Mhm.
Just
Well,
off,
they're all written by me, yeah.
like some of the descriptions of them, I didn't realize, like, some of them just sound like straight up romance.
Well, they all have romance in them.
But that's your selling point, I guess, on the blurb?
Well, I think yes and no. Like, it's kind of a hard question to answer. I want people to know what they're getting into because there's some people who don't want to read any romance. So I want them to know that there's romance in there. Does that make sense?
Right.
And I know the people that will like my stories are people who enjoy romance. I think the part that's hard is romance is an extremely broad term. I mean, you can have zero sex in your story and it's still romance. So that's where it gets hard. So like if you say spicy romance, or if you see, like, you know what I mean? Like there's ways to break it down more and make it really clear, but they are all based on us. The subplot is always a love story.
Gotcha.
There's always like two main characters that are in together at the end. So
who's the sea captain trying to boink?
hold on a second.
The cook?
Go. Just let the girl out. She's coming to you. What now? Who's he trying to boink? Wait, what's your question? Like, what's the love interest?
The sea captain?
Yeah.
Oh, then it must be the girl. I thought that review said that the blurb initially said that there was a captain who was kind of a hard ass or some shit, and then there was a girl that was coming around for vengeance and whatever. So then that's guy and girl, right? And then the review said something about the captain and her sassy mouth.
Bryn, the Captain Slayer. They coined her Bryn, the Captain Slayer.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because that's what the crew like facetiously calls her that because
she smoked the captain. Oh, damn. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Dennis doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, she slayed him sexually. Hell. You almost spit out your drink. She slayed his sausage meat. That thing is dead. Oh.
No, you're redonkulous. Okay. What other questions do you have?
So Mac is a girl. Spelled M-A-C?
Yep.
M-A-C-K?
Yeah, her name's Michaela, but they call her Mac.
And she works at this auto shop, and there's a single dad who's a mechanic or runs it.
It's her dad's shop, but then the guy that she calls for is also a father.
Nice. Is there an age gap thing there going on?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, not one worth mentioning, like maybe a couple years, but like no. Like there's her dad, but he's like obviously removed. He's not part of any love interest. And then there's the guy who works for her dad. That's why it says the boss's daughter is off limits.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Questions wise?
No, I think I'm good.
I tried to switch it up a little bit so they weren't all like from the same series or the same world or whatever. Okay, so my initial thought was that you would rate the Darkest Winter the highest, and you pretty much did. What I thought was interesting is, so the Darkest Winter, based on the bullets, the tropes and the bullet points that I gave, you gave 4.5. And those were survival situations, friends to lovers, second chance, forced proximity, superhuman abilities, genetic engineering, and found family. You did 4.5. And then on the blurb, his family dies and he prefers to drown his sorrows in bourbon until Elle and the kids need his help, essentially. And then they go into the Arctic. So you rated that also 4.5. In
the blurb, I didn't pick up anything about mentioning about superpowers.
Yeah, no, that's good. You don't realize it until later in the story, so it's not like part of the blurb. So And it's not even really, it doesn't come off, it's not like they're flying around. It's more of because they are genetically altered, they discover they can do things that are not natural, you know? So anyway, so there's that. Why are you laughing? Now my back's really itching. Why are you laughing?
Quit itching. You're on camera. Because I'm like, I get it. Like, it's not X-Men where they have super crazy powers with adamantium or anything. So they just got like kind of subtle powers, kind of like the ability to not have to wipe anymore.
Yeah. Hey, that's actually one that I wrote in there. Lindsey shakes her head. No, it's not. Yes. No, in fact, that book is very frequently compared to like a mashup between, not by me, but by readers, mashup between two Stephen King novels. So that's why this book fits in horror too. So it's because it's the survival post-apoc aspect. So it has reference to cannibalism and, you know, people that aren't all that great, a lot of different things like that. But it's because of the genetic engineering and the things they can do, especially Elle's fire, or Elle has, now I'm giving away a bunch of plot stuff. But anyways, the things that they can do is it ties in a lot with Firestarter, Stephen King novel. And then The Stand, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of differences too, but there's a lot of similarities. So that's why people who I guess I'm assuming they're Stephen King fans because they're the ones who are saying these things, but it's like a mashup of those two books.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But, and so that series, so that talking about the romance aspect, that's why it gets hard, because that has they have a very slow burn, under the radar romantic connection, but they're really just trying to survive together and take care of these kids the whole time. So they don't even have nothing really happens until the very end. And when I say nothing happens, I mean, I'm not even talking like sex. I'm talking like even a kiss. But it's the first book in a 7-book series. So obviously I have more books to develop their relationship, and then there are other characters who get their own books from the family in that series, and they all have different varying romantic connections and their adventures and their stories, their survival situations, you know? So it's like, I hate to say there's no romance, because especially something like The Darkest Winter, somebody could go into it and thinking it's going to be a Stephen King novel, and then it's not. That whole series is just, it's kind of in a league of its own, because the way it's written is the first book is super gritty and dark and post-apocalyptic. And then from the second book to the onward, it actually starts going further in the timeline. So then you're jumping ahead years here and there. And so it becomes more dystopian, right? Because the post-apoc part's over. Now it's them trying to live in this new world with these new things they can do and the new obstacles that they have to face, because like this is a life that no one's ever lived before. So they have all these new types of people they have to be aware of, and different things that So I don't want to give too much away, but it's my best-selling series. It is hands down readers' favorite, and so I figured it would probably be one that you would rate the highest as well.
And we're talking like Scully and Mulder type of slow burn.
You know, I don't know, honestly. I don't really know how to answer that, because I don't remember any romance between them whatsoever, sexual tension. But I also was really young, so I probably wasn't picking up on it.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, you're probably right. All right, so the other one that you rated the second highest was Nothing But Trouble. That's the mechanic one. Surprise, surprise. That one you rated the bullet and the tropes 3.5, the blurb 3.5, and then the review 2.
I mean, Max sounds hot, so
why not? Yeah.
No.
Let's do it. This one was kind of interesting. So Earth and Ember is one of my favorite stories that I've ever written. That one you rated 2.5 on everything, but you rated the review a 4, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, because I like that review. I don't read, but when I have in the past, that resonated with me, because that's the one book or two that I really enjoyed, I would like take it to bed and try to keep reading and eventually fall asleep on the pages. But
Yeah.
so it's just something I could relate to.
So the other books we have, so The Darkest Winter we talked about, Earth and Ember, that is, that, like I was saying, that's one of my favorite stories that I've ever written. It is very, it's dystopian. It's really a weather ravaged world. You know, I like writing those. Lots of adventure, kind of a dystopian Victorian cowboy feel to it. I really enjoy it because these two people have been raised to quite literally kill each other. So it's was really good to write because I really enjoyed, you know, I was talking about how I really like to force people to be in the same room together, get to know each other, figure out that they're actually human beings and they're not like, everybody has preconceived notions about everybody else, right? You think you know somebody, whatever. But when you have a bigger villain in the story, like Mother Nature, who nobody stands a chance against, like everybody's fighting for their lives, like you have to learn to work together. And so that's why I really enjoy this, because you couldn't have two characters that were more opposite. And I really just loved the world building and having the two different cultures come together and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Her vibes are very kind of Native American, indigenous feel to them. They have a lot of really old mythologies and live off the land and that sort of thing. So as versus, you know, this really kind of sweaty, spur clinking like cowboy town. So it was fun. Okay, and then the other one that I threw in the mix was City of Ruin, and that one is a Jane Eyre and Beauty and the Beast smash up. And that one is considered dystopian because it's in a series where the Industrial Revolution, it's like the history is the same up until the Industrial Revolution, and then essentially climate change happens. And so the entire world is completely devastated, and everybody goes in these different pockets of civilization, like these different pockets of the world, because they have to learn how to survive the weather. And so that's actually what happened with Luke and Kaya and their story, is that's why they're two different civilizations, and they're, you know, essentially they're mortal enemies because they're fighting for the same territory for generations. So this is a different continent. So Selene and the Collector, that they have more of like a Viking-esque world, and they like Old English and stuff like that, and it feels a lot more kind of old world. So that one was really fun to write too. That one is really more Gothic vibes to it, but it's also really gritty in that the world they live in is there's a lot of earthquakes and everything's just dreary and gray all the time. So they were all living under the tunnels, which is a side story that I'm working on right now that's been really fun. So going back in time to when it all first started. But yeah, so that was the gritty Gothic one, was the City of Ruins. And then Sea of Storms is in that same series, and that is Brynn and Killian's story. And that one is very Viking pirate-esque. So Killian is Captain the Reaper, essentially. And then she's essentially a slave, and she gets herself into some trouble, and then she wakes on the ship that has a lot of rumors behind it. So she wakes up very angry that she's on the ship, and then on top of that, then they get stuck on this island. So it's actually really fun. It kind of has some Robin Hood vibes to it too. Oh, Dennis.
Right.
Inappropriate hand gestures. You gotta love it. But if any of these were turned into a movie, I think that you would enjoy this one, because I didn't want to say it. I should have probably said it. You probably would have given it a higher rating, but I didn't want you to go just on that. It's very Black Sails-ish, like Vikings meets Black Sails. So there's that one. And then Skies of Fire, I'm assuming we have talked about that one enough. You probably knew that's what that was, with the volcano and Ava and Nox and
yeah.
So the two that you rated the highest was Nothing But Trouble, the contemporary romance that is under my Scarlet St. James pen name. And The Darkest Winter. That one was like solid 4.5 all the way across, well, except for the description or the review. But there you go.
That's the one you recommended. That's the one you recommended to me to read, right? You're like, if you're going to read any of my books, I would suggest you try this one.
Yeah.
Which I have a copy somewhere.
You can listen to the free audiobook if you want. I have it.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, you won't. Anyways, so that's it. I just thought it would be fun. I wasn't really sure how to pull the information together for you, but I wanted to just see, like, as a non-reader, if anything floated your boat at all. But
those
was right.
Those reviews, I guess it's different when you're interested in a book and you go and look at the reviews and you start scrolling through and you pick up on those snippets, right? But for me, out of context, not knowing anything, like, they didn't help. The last one did, because it was a little bit more descriptive, not, hey, this book's great, or thumbs up. Like,
yeah, no, I understand.
But in a different setting, when I'm looking at something, then that would be helpful, I guess.
What I think is kind of interesting. So for The Darkest Winter, the review that I picked was Holy Disasters. This is fabulous. Believable atmosphere of desperation and doom, all while balancing it precariously on the ledge of hope. That one you gave a 3. The one you gave a 4-star. Oh yeah, we already said that. That was I just can't express how much I loved it. Just need to read one more chapter books. Yeah.
I did like the one you just read, the previous one, but I think where it lost me, and I knew was probably more of a maybe romancy or emotional book, is the hope at the end.
Yeah, it's actually, which is funny because it's not romancy at all. It's just because it's such a gutting story. So I think that's what it is. It really tears out your heart. It puts it all back together mostly by the end, but it's a gut wrencher.
Like, but the left ventricle's missing.
Pretty much.
Who needs that anyways?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I know. I had a hard time figuring out which reviews to pick too. I didn't want it to give too much away.
No, but you whipped that thing up pretty quick, so. I
think that's it. I know that's short and sweet. But I am getting uncomfortable anyway, so I think we're going to probably sign off unless there's anything else that you would like to bring up or chat about.
Nope, let's get you out of there.
What are we grateful for today?
I am grateful for
you. You have been very supportive the last 2+ weeks, and I appreciate you going with me to my doctor's appointment today and for making sure that my needs are taken care of while I am recovering.
You're welcome,
P. And doing my laundry and all the lovely things you do.
Anytime, P. Anytime.
You're grateful for our neighbors that don't rev their engines?
Let's go with I'm grateful for having a job, and it's a heavy thing that's always on my mind. But really what I'm trying to get at is I'm grateful for the guys that I work with. The position I'm in is a little bit difficult and new for me, so I'm kind of trying to traverse through that. And the guys see that. And anywhere you work, you're there, 8 hours a day, if not more. So people become your second family, whether you like it or not. And
good and the bad.
Yeah, and I can see that some of the guys are, or maybe it's just my mindset, but some of the guys are kind of starting to transform into more of a relationship type of thing, a work/friendship relationship thing. So I'm grateful for that. I don't feel like I'm going around, or I don't feel like I'm going to work every day with a target on my back, or worrying about enemies, or that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It's going kind of more towards a positive direction. And I'm grateful for that. A lot of the guys are reaching out to me to do different things. And it kind of shows to me that they care. So that's nice.
Yeah. That's
Grateful
really nice. That's nice. I'm grateful for that as well. All right, everybody. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us ramble, grumble, groan, mutter, mumble, all the things.
Rate, hand gestures, eye rolls,
all the things.
sighs, scoffs.
Janice's inappropriate gestures, if you ever watch the videos.
Finger in the hand.
All right, well, that's a wrap. Happy reading and listening adventures, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Mahalo.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Grumpily Ever After. Whether you're here for the book talk or the banter, we appreciate you. If you enjoyed our brand of chaos, don't forget to subscribe and join us next time for more book chats and married mayhem. Stay grumpy, stay bookish, and we'll catch you next time.